quarterback competition is real, a lot more
Yeah.
real than I think either of us thought coming into it. Is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? I don't know. I tend to think competition is good overall, especially when you don't have a sitting starter returning. Everything I've gathered, they love Carr's arm, but they got to harness it. They love what Minchey brings to the table. I hear a lot about his work ethic. Obviously, given Mike Denbrock's recent history with quarterbacks, I do think having that mobility is a plus. But everything I've gathered is we love both these guys long term. We just really wish we had an easier opponent in week one because we're throwing whoever we pick, we're throwing to the Wolves, and they're going to have to be ready. We better make a right decision.
Yeah, I watched this competition unfold a little bit in bits and pieces, and then you call around and talk to people, just outside the program, inside the program. I think it's more of a competition than I would have thought. I think it's maybe more of a competition than they would have thought. As much as Marcus Freeman talked about it being a real sort of Minchey Carr, they just get to go at it, and you're not going to sort of skew the competition toward one guy or away from another. In terms of the stuff you're working on, you're right. Denbrock's offenses have worked the last 3 years in part, maybe in huge part, because the quarterback was a huge mobile threat. There are other reasons why they have worked over the years, but that's one of the biggest ones. And that's more Minchey than it is Carr. I don't want to read too much into Carr's 3-pick day on day one, but I don't want to just dismiss it either. I don't, in doing this for years and years and too many years, I don't remember ever going out to an open day practice and the starting quarterback throwing 3 picks. I just have never seen it. That's not great. However, I'm trying to think of the last time Notre Dame's opening day starter had not played a meaningful snap.
Sure.
And I'm actually writing a story on this for The Athletic for next week. I talked to Brady Quinn and Ian Book and Dane Christ. All those guys had played some snaps before they were the guy. It's really, really rare. I think the last one is Everett Golson in 2012.
Meaningful, yeah. I mean, Wimbush and obviously Buckner, but yeah.
Yeah, but they both played. Buckner in particular played a bunch as a freshman. It's Zaire played a little bit in the bowl game before. Certainly Kaiser was thrown to the Wolves, so to speak, but at Virginia, the Wolves of Virginia are different than the Wolves at Miami. And certainly Golson against Navy in Ireland is not the same as going down to Hard Rock Stadium. So it's not uncharted, but it's very lightly charted territory for Notre Dame in terms of throwing a quarterback out there. And I wonder if you mentioned sort of the harness it with Carr's arm, and talking to people around Notre Dame, there is he really tries to make the big play. And look, we all like to see the big play, but sometimes there's a Division I safety on the other end of that big play. And that I think is tricky for CJ Carr to sort of figure out. And I remember talking to Brady Quinn about this when he was, getting into his senior year. He said the hardest, and I was confused when he said this, but so the hardest thing for a young quarterback is to think short to long instead of thinking long to short. Because you want to sling it around. You're so amped up to go that you don't take the profit that's right in front of you sometimes. And maybe that's something Carr has figured out in the last week or so. But compared to where we were coming out of spring ball when he was the best quarterback on the field, both in the spring game and in the open practice, and even the spring a year prior when we saw him, Leonard was out, but we saw Carr. He was great in both those practices too. What you saw last week on Thursday gave you a little bit of pause. It felt like kind of a record scratch, when people walk into the bar and you're like, okay, this is going. And it's just this very disconcerting noise. Everyone turns around and is like, what's that? That kind of felt like what I was watching last week with CJ Carr.
While we're on the subject, I want to make sure this reader gets his due credit here. The most detailed, perceptive mailbag question, reader comment, tweet, you name it, I've ever seen. Let me find it. AJM in your mailbag. Your last, you closed it with this gem today. Jeremiah Love has posted multiple Instagram stories playing NCAA 2026 with Kenny Minchey as a starting quarterback. As someone who plays the game, CJ Carr is the default starter, so that means Love would have had to go and manually put in Minchey unless Carr got hurt. Thoughts? This is Pulitzer Prize winning journalism, AJM. Like,
I know.
I
Yeah,
remember
he'll be
like
writing a "Why I Joined the Athletic" column in no time.
like,
Yeah,
I remember when we would find out
I was like,
player
well, that's
injuries,
definitely going in the mailbag, AJ.
maybe 15 plus years ago. We would find out about player injuries because they would like tweet about it before anyone knew what Twitter was, except for sports writers and players. Like, this is that, I guess, this generation of that, like on steroids. Like, the coaching staff clearly did not think to be like, don't post your video game choices on social media. I have not played video games in a long time, and I don't follow these guys on Instagram day to day the way I did on Twitter. That is like, wow, got me thinking, right? Like, the best player on the team clearly has a preference here, at least when it comes to video games. Or maybe conversely, he's a running back. Maybe he thinks Carr's a better quarterback and he wants to run the ball more. So he put Minchey in to hand the ball off. I don't know. Could go a number of different ways. I mean,
You really could.
Your answer said, I wish I could have asked Jeremiah this in person during his interview session. Maybe week one, we'll get a chance to do just that, assuming they haven't named a starter by then. I imagine they will.
Yeah.
But that's like, that goes to my next point. How long are they going to let this drag out, so to speak?
Yeah, it's August 7th as we're recording this. The next availability for Marcus Freeman, which I believe is also the next availability for Mike Denbrock and Chris Ash, is Sunday, August 17th. I think there will be a decision at that point. And like Freeman has said before, like, I'm not doing we don't know. We just need to decide before Miami, yada, yada, yada. We'll see if he sticks to that. But I bet by August 17th, we've got something on this. Because as you said, like, this stuff gets out there way too quickly. We're going to know whether they announce it or not, based on who's getting the reps that we hear about it. So, yeah, I would say August 17th. I don't know who it's going to be. I was certain it was going to be Carr about a week and a half ago. Now I'm not so sure.